sending links. 1 second. Okay. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm warming up. I had to put on some heat because it's cold. I'm in Kansas City, Kansas. You guys know I'm visiting. Well, if you're in my class or my groups, then you know that I am visiting my mom for the week for Thanksgiving. She is inside diligently making collard greens and all of those things, and I'm out here about to teach you guys. So I'm gonna let just a few seconds. Hey, people that are coming on. Hey. And I'm going to talk about quantum jumping and the method that I use to quantum jump. I'm going to talk about why I chose that method. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of kind of like about who I am, and that will help you understand why this method was the best for me. The reason why I want to do this is because part of alignment, and give me 1 second, let me see more. Okay, part of alignment is understanding who the person is. People are aligned to me and drawn to me because of my energy, the frequency. You can feel it, right? You feel connected to me, but I want to explain to you guys why many of you are feeling connected with me. Because if you understand my story and understand my background, you will see how similar our backgrounds probably are, or they have so many things that are like, this is going to resonate with you, and you're going to be like, oh, that's why. Okay, that's why I'm feeling this from her. That's why I do this. So anyway, a little bit of background about who I am. My name is Kelly Marisha Henson. I know I go by Kelly Marisha, but that is my full name, Kelly Marisha Henson. I am a fourth generation Church of God in Christ, which is a Pentecostal denomination. It is the largest African American denomination in the world. Why is that important? It's important because if you understand and know that denomination, you understand and know that there's a lot of dogma, there's a lot of rules, there are a lot of protocols, procedures that were built into me. Things that I just, as much as I was deconstructing, I wasn't able to fully like come all the way out of. So in the Black church, if you're a person that is not Black and you're watching this, you know, on the replay, or if you're a person that is Black, you'll understand the term churchy. I am churchy. A lot of you guys that are drawn to me are churchy, or your grandmothers were churchy. And so there's something about it that you're still connecting with. That's really important, and that's nothing to shy away from. And I'm going to stay here for a second, because I think that so many times when people are starting to deconstruct, you go through the stages of grief. And one of the stages of grief is anger. And you get angry at the church, and you get angry at the people, thinking that people lied to you, or people were keeping things from you. And you really do go through it, just a big anger. And also an anger of, oh my God, all this time that I wasted, that I could have been doing this, and I was spinning my wheels, right? So there's a lot of anger a lot of times when it comes to deconstructing not just your faith, but your processing system, understanding how you process information. And many of us are finding out that we're neurodivergent. We're not even going there yet, okay? We're just going to talk about the churchiness for a second, right? You don't have to totally dismiss everything that you learned in the church. In fact, I would recommend that you don't try. If you're a person that is generationally a part of the church, your grandparents were a part of the church, your parents were a part of the church, you were raised in the church, you are going to spend way more time trying to unravel something that is woven inside of you, instead of seeing it as something you can use. And so as I talk more about, you know, how I've come up with this method of quantum jumping, you're going to hear a lot of churchy things, church isms, because I use those things. There was no need. I would have literally been trying to swim against the tide, swim backwards against the wind. Not interested in that, right? I'm interested in moving forward as a time traveler, as a quantum jumper, as a person that loves to switch timelines. I love switching timelines. I love switching personalities. I've done it my entire life. I just didn't know what I was doing, right? But I've always loved doing that. And so as a person who does that, I'm always interested in taking the path of least resistance. Most of us have heard that if you are learning or have learned, if you know, no matter where you are in your journey, you probably have heard that already. following the paths of least resistance. And one of the biggest paths that a lot of people that were groomed and raised in the church, if your grandparents were in the church, that people resist is still trying to incorporate things of the church. And it's very easy to do because a lot of the things of the church, as you find out, I'm not saying, I know that a lot of people you'll hear people say that it was rooted in witchcraft. I'm not even going to say that. What I'm going to say is that there are principles, and principles cross religions. Principles cross philosophers. Principles are principles. Principles have nothing. There are no Christian principles. There are some principles that are just basic principles, laws, if you will. And I don't care what you read and where you go, they're going to be the same everywhere. What goes up is going to come down, especially if the mass is heavy enough. That's just physics, right? That's going to happen anywhere. This is a law. This is a principle. And so when you start operating in principles versus rules or versus scripture or versus according to, like I said, any faith or anything that you were once a part of, when you start learning principles, it will make quantum jumping so much more easier for you because those things have already been ingrained inside of you. It is no need in taking a path of resistance when there is a clear path of least resistance for you to just fall into. Now, I had to learn that along the journey. And because I am so passionate about quantum jumping, because I'm so passionate about shortening the travel does not, you know what? The travel does not have to ever be long. The journey never has to be long. The journey is as long as you make it. The journey is as long as you are going to be rebellious against making a decision. The journey is going to be as long as you hem and haw about, oh, I can't do that because they're going to get mad or what they're going to think of me. The journey is as long as you make it. The more you get, I don't give a fuck. And I mean a real, nine out of 10 people is lip service. Oh, I don't care, I don't give a fuck. Yes, you do, because you wouldn't still be sitting where you are. You're unhappy, you don't have what you want. So you're giving a lot of fucks. You're talking. Oh, you got see, this is a part of the journey. It was a part of the journey. I'm atheist. But it was still a part of the journey, you know? I'm not gonna get it covered up. I thought about it. But this tattoo was always a reminder of you don't have to resist. There are things you learned here that you can use and take you. You can still go. You can still go. You can still travel. You can still pass through portals using some of these principles. You don't have to throw the baby away with the bathwater. Okay? So that's the first part. If you're drawn to me, it's most likely you may have a religious kind of component to you. You may, like I said, have been groomed in the church, come from a churchy family. I want to assure you that my method that I use incorporates many principles that you are going to be familiar with in church. You're going to hear me say scripture, okay? You're going to hear me because it was built inside of me, and I don't resist what was already. If it was woven into me, it's an ingredient. If it was put inside, sometimes people, when you make Indian food, and you think of some of the spices of Indian food, you be like, you put nutmeg on chicken, you putting cinnamon in the chicken, in the sauce, right? Because typically you think cinnamon's for cinnamon rolls. But just because that's something that it's an ingredient, it's not anything that you're used to. You've never used it in that way. You might have never used Christianity in that way. You might have never used the scriptures in that way. But that doesn't mean that it's not a principle that can't be used. It's still an ingredient. And the ingredients are woven in so many of us. And so it is, I have a very good methodology that helps you to incorporate that. So that way, if you are a Christian, sometimes it is easy for you to follow me. If you're not a Christian, but you were, it is still easy to follow me because you're understanding what I'm saying. So that's the first part. The second thing is the neurodivergence. Let's talk about that. If you're following me, there's a good chance that you are a neurodivergent. What does that mean? That means you're a different kind of thinker, okay? I have a diagnosis of bipolar 2. I am neurodivergent. I also am low on the spectrum of autism, and I am dyslexic. And what I love about my diagnosis is because I understand them, and I understand me, and I understand that it is a part of my brilliance. And I understand that it is because of this neurodivergence, this triple threat that I am, I was able to come up with a methodology that works for me. And now I copy and paste it with others, and it works for others. Like clockwork. I tell people all the time that I realized that I was neurodivergent when, because at first I started my journey using my tarot cards. Love my tarot cards. My tarot cards are always going to be special to me, but I realized that I was not using my tarot cards as often, but I was still speaking to people and telling them what was going to happen. And I was like, how do you know this, right? Oh, let me, hold on, you guys. I'm going to put, if you guys want to ask any questions along the way, please feel free to type questions. That's the point of this live, is because I wanted to make sure that I could answer questions for you guys. So please, if you have any questions, ask them, type them below, and I will answer those questions as we go along. You don't have to wait; just shout your questions out. And I started realizing that I'm prophesying without. I didn't feel like it was very spiritual what I was doing, and I realized it wasn't. I had a pattern recognition. I had a neurodivergent pattern recognition, and it wasn't that I could understand every pattern, but there were obviously like about 10 to 12 patterns that I continually was seeing in the Black diaspora. And I was able to tell people exactly what was going to happen, like 6 steps ahead. And I coined a phrase that I'm often early, but I'm very rarely wrong. I'm often early, but I'm very rarely wrong. And it still sticks because there are just some patterns that I know. Now, if there's a pattern that I don't know, I'm honest, I'm like, I don't know this one, but I'm excited to know this one. That's a part of my neurodivergence. I love patterns. I was definitely that child with the blocks and could like fixate for hours on blocks and just put blocks. But for me, there were specific blocks. There were blocks that made patterns. It was a block that made patterns. It was like about 10 shapes, and you could rearrange these shapes in different. I was obsessed. Obsessed. And still to this day, I think I ordered a new bucket of blocks because I still love those blocks. I can sit down for hours and just go in on making different patterns and shapes on blocks because that's just how my mind works, and it's very comforting. And I'm still that way. I love patterns. I love puzzles, but I really love repeated patterns. And I love complicated repeated patterns that people can't find out the answer to, and then I'm all of a sudden like, yes, I see it. It repeats right here. It does this right. It loops right. It's fun. And so if you're neurodivergent, there's possibly a very big way that you are following me here. Why is that important with my methodology? Because you're going to hear, I'm going to use the examples of a computer, I'm going to use the examples of music, and I'm going to use the examples I use computers, music, and a little bit of physics, some terminology in physics. I by no means am a physics understander. I'm not. But there are just some principles of physics that make sense. Computers made sense to me because it was codes. Computers make sense to autistic people because of the codes. It just makes sense. And that's almost hard for me to describe. But if you are on the spectrum autistic, you hear me start talking about computers, everything I'm saying makes so much sense to you, right? If you are a person that loves music, and I love music, I love music. So you understand beats and cadence and frequency. You understand that, and so that's why quite oftentimes you'll hear me making references to music, to cadences, to beats, to tempos, and to computers, to coding, to getting the right kind of resonation and things of that nature. That's what you're going to hear. Okay, so we talked about the religious component. So my backgrounds. I am explaining to you how my methodology got created, and then we're going to go into the methodology. Okay. So I explained to you about the religious component. I grew up very, very churched. I am neurodivergent with a triple diagnosis. And what else did I say? I forgot what. But listen, you follow me. And so another thing about me is that I grew up in something that people call Black excellence. I grew up in the Cosby Show. If you guys ever seen the Cosby Show, that is exactly what my family looked like. 2 parents, 2 great jobs, upper middle class. We had the best of everything. Jack and Jill, inroads. We went to private schools. So I don't know a Black struggle. I don't identify with many like movies and things of that nature that kind of like showcase inner city struggling life with Black people. I don't understand any of that. Like I learn about that culture through the movies and through music because not only was I not raised in that, we were very much sheltered from the influences of that. So music, secular music wasn't really allowed in the house. We did not have cable in the house because my dad wanted to make sure that our influences were what he needed them to be and not what this world, and I'm very grateful for that, honestly. Yes, there are a lot of things that I missed out on, but I missed out on them in a good way because it didn't infiltrate me, and it didn't infiltrate, it didn't infiltrate in the ways that are harmful or in the ways that are counterproductive. So I'm very grateful for that. But why that's important, that was important so much. Oh my God, that was one of the benchmarks of my methodology, was realizing that I came from Black excellence. I came from structure. And when I realized, I came full circle with my spiritual journey, because it started off as a spiritual journey, but now I don't really call it a spiritual journey. It's energetically, I released myself from things. Because again, I'm not a practicing atheist, but I'm just an atheist. It just is what it is. I'm very spiritual, however. I do believe in the spirit, but I do not believe that there's a supreme spirit. And so that's still important for you to understand, because when I talk about my methodology, you need to know where I'm coming from, and you can try to, in your mind, kind of try to like reconcile and make it the way that will be easiest for you to understand. And hopefully that works for you. But if it doesn't work for you, then you can think about what I said and see if that works for you. It's just trial and error. It was really trial and error for the last 4 years, but I just got it right. But structure was so important, because I realized that the spirit, and this is my methodology, that the spirit needed to have some structure around it, and that the spirit was very free. My spirit is incredibly free. It just wants to float. It wants to, I give the example of laying back in a swimming pool and just floating on my back to the point where I fall asleep. And I actually can do that. I'm a very good floater. I just lay on my back and I can literally go to sleep. But I also know that I'm safe in that swimming pool because it has 4 borders around me. It has structure. And I realized that I needed structure, and that was how the methodology got birthed. The meaning of the methodology is the structure. That's how I was able to push all of the knowledge and all of the practicality into this process. And I'm like, oh my God, this makes sense. Now, the process that I'm going to tell you guys, it's really crazy, because somebody who is more logical, who's A-type, is going to hear my methodology and be like, oh yeah, that's what we do. That's the process, right? But I'm going to speak about the process in ways, thank you so much, Natalia. I'm going to speak about the process in a way that's very spiritual, because it really is the same process. I tell people all the time that I practice the occult, but I also practice practical magic. And I practice practical magic every day. This is a part of the methodology, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Hold on, I'm still going there. I'm just describing who I am, why this methodology works for me, how I came about with this methodology, and to let you know that it may work for you. If what I'm saying so far is resonating with you in any way, the way that I'm doing it may work for you, okay? So I talked about the structure. I talked about, okay, let's talk one more thing about the spirit. So the spiritual portion of it, couldn't deny that, because I've been that girl since I was a little girl. Many of you have been spiritual since you were children. You saw things, you experienced things, you were dreamers since you were children. The people that are drawn to me are the people that were like, you've been like this your whole life. If the truth be told, you've been like this your whole life, but you did what you had to do to kind of hide yourself inside of the structure, inside of the people around you, so that you wouldn't get caught. So people wouldn't be like, Jezebel, she's a witch. So you learned how to mask. And not mask you learned how to mask in a way that I don't want people to see that I really do see things. I hear things. I know things. I don't know how I know them, but I know them. You don't want people to know that you can communicate with the dead. You don't want people to know that you can see into the future and you can astral project. You didn't want people to know that you understood the astrological things like it was second nature to you. You understood that so like it was as if remembering a second language. Not learning, remembering. For me, I always felt like I was remembering. I was never afraid of spirits. I was never afraid of ghosts. I was never afraid of... The church made me afraid of demons. But I never had to be, because now that I understand what they are and how they move, and it's absolutely for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but that is something that I'm not afraid of. One of the big things I remember that people were talking about when I first got started in my journey was sleep paralysis. How when people said that they couldn't wake up out of their sleep at night, they felt like something was on top of it. Do you know what? I haven't had a sleep paralysis since I left religion. And that was when I realized that it was a mental. I heard stories about sleep paralysis, and I manifested sleep paralysis through those stories. Wasn't even my energy. Wasn't even mine. Wasn't even my experience. I started manifesting things through other people's experiences and stories, and that was when I realized that you need to get around the people that are going to speak and share stories and share experiences of things that you actually want to experience. Please watch being around people that share experiences and stories and their recommendations and their cautions according to their limited beliefs, according to their fears, according to their limited experience, their limited awareness, their limited teachings. Be very mindful of that, because it is very easy for you to manifest and actualize things into your life that weren't even yours, okay? So now let's get into my methodology. Now you kind of got my background of who I am, or practical magic. Some people do refer to me as a witch. I don't mind if you do. Some people refer to me as the Oracle. I don't mind if you do. I'm called Auntie. I'm called, I definitely have some godmother, lots of godmother. Kelly Marisha, if anything else. But that's who I am. Now the methodology is this. I'm going to tell you my exact methodology, what I do. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up at the set time every morning. Then that time does change. Sometimes it's 9 o'clock, sometimes it's 6 o'clock, sometimes that time changes. How do I know when it changes? How do I know when to change the time, right? How do I know? I know when I change. When I move into a different version of myself, it requires something different. I don't go into a different version of myself every other day. It's seasonal. So in one season, I'll wake up at 9. In one season, I'll wake up at 6. In one season, I'll wake up at 7. In one season, it depends on what season I am and what is required for that version of myself. How do you know? Because it will tell me. I am in very, very close communication with all versions of myself. And when I'm ready to move into a different version of myself, I will ask myself, what do we want? What do we need? How do we move? Okay? And I also want you guys to remember, if you don't know what the law of assumption is, I'll talk about that at the end. But what I am explaining to you, this magic that I'm teaching you, that sounds like a schedule, right? It sounds like a schedule, and I'm glad that you think that. But I am telling you that it is magic. It is practical magic, what I'm teaching you right now, what I do every day. This is how I change timelines, and this is how I stay in the timeline that I want to stay in, okay? So the version of myself, or whatever timeline that I want to go into, that I'm trying to go into, will tell me what time do we wake up in this timeline. And sometimes it's 9, and sometimes it's 6, and sometimes it's 7, and I have a timeline that actually wants to be nocturnal. And I'm so excited to get into that timeline, where literally I'm up at night and I go to sleep at 4 in the morning. I am so excited to be in that timeline. I'm not ready for that timeline yet, because there is still a little more structure that I want to put around that timeline. But I'm so excited, but I know that it's there because I can feel it. And I can feel myself trying to move into it. And I'm like, not yet. Wait a minute. We're almost ready to go into that timeline. Maybe 2026. I'm hoping 2026. But I ask myself, according to where I'm trying to go, that version of me, we talk. What time do we wake up? Okay? So I wake up at a set time every day. Now, here's what does not change, is my morning routine, my morning ritual. So I wake up immediately, and I begin with mental meditation, and I ask myself, and this is where you guys probably want to start writing some things down, because I'm giving you my ritual. This is my ritual that I do every day. I'm going to give you a little glamour magic in the ritual. I'm going to give you some time magic in the ritual. That's what we do. So the very first thing I do is I go into my mental questions as I ask myself. And here's the one I want you to write down. I ask myself, who am I today? Who am I today? And this is very important, because you want to keep asking yourself that question until you answer it, like literally. You'll know it's your voice, but it'll almost feel like something else answered it for you. But it is still your voice. It's your voice, but your voice answered it faster than you. Wait a minute, that was me. Damn, who am I today? Okay. Why do I ask myself that? Because when I wake up in the mornings, because I time travel, and because I astral project. So if you're a dreamer, if you're an astral projector, if you're a person, how do you know if you're astral projecting? Let me give you two things to know if you're astral projecting, okay? You'll know if you're astral projecting if you start to hear like, you can hear a whooshing sound. I'm gonna try to make the sound with my mouth. It can sound like either shh, or it'll sound like ooh. One of those two sounds. You'll hear that sound as you're coming back or as you're going. You'll hear ooh, or you'll hear shh, and that will let you know that you are traveling. That's the sound of traveling through, right? At that point, you are faster than the speed of light. When they say that there's nothing faster than the speed of light, not true. Thoughts are. Thoughts are faster. Thoughts can't even be calculated. Thoughts are faster than the speed of light. And when you're astral projecting, it starts with your thoughts, right? Another way you'll know you're astral projecting is when you get to a location, if you can touch things, if you can smell things, you're probably astral projecting. Your actual consciousness, your energy is actually in another location. If you can touch things and if you can smell things there, you're projecting. You're astral projecting. So I have to, and I travel a lot, and I believe that traveling, flying, airports, flying in the sky are portals. So I'm constantly going through portals, through time zones, and so I have to ask myself, sometimes, where am I? But I always ask myself, who am I today? Who am I? And so I start off with that, and I go into who I am, and then I also go into how that person behaves. Because every version of you in every timeline behaves slightly different. That is what changes timelines. It's how you're behaving how you think. So in every timeline, there is some nuance about how you think about something that's different. A lot of times you can know what that is because it's something you've been working on, something you've been practicing on. You've been working on patience, you've been working on discipline, you've been working on something. So that is an indication that, hey, my discipline in this timeline is going to be a little bit different. So I can expect to see myself grind a little harder. I can expect to see myself be a little bit more creative and putting pencil to work. I can see myself working out a little bit harder, a little bit more consistently, because you've been working on discipline. You've been working on anything you've been working on. Anything that's been coming, and we're in retrograde right now until the 29th of November. It started on the 9th. So a lot of you guys are working on a lot of shit. A lot of you guys have exes that have come back, family members that have come back, and I'm telling all of y'all, listen. You be real careful about letting people reintroduce back into your experience, because if you're not ready, when I say you're not ready, if you're not ready mentally to receive that person back and still be strong enough to be the version of yourself that you were in their absence, you know how like sometimes when different people come into a room and you kind of like change a little bit, your posture changes, you may even cower down a little bit. You know how sometimes many of us on here, we're 30s, 40s, and an elder will come into the room and all of a sudden you become a little girl all over again. If you're not ready to be the version of yourself that you were when they were absent, be really careful about letting people reintroduce back into, because you can go with timelines, you can go back in time, over in time, diagonal in time, forward in time. Don't just assume that every time you jump you're going forward. You're not. You don't know where. You only know where you're going if your attention and your awareness are locked in. But if you willy-nilly let people just keep going in and out that don't belong in that timeline, you can snatch yourself back into some timelines and patterns that you damn, I thought I was over with that. No, you weren't. If you could have been more what is the word? I do want to use the word strong, but committed and more 10 toes deep about not letting certain energies back into your life, and it's a hell no, hard no. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care who else say about it. If y'all got a problem with it, then y'all all can go to hell. If you had been a little more of that, then you could solidify yourself into a timeline. But when you get willy-nilly with that and let people back in, and you're not strong enough and you're not ready, that challenges the lip service versus the actual ready. That's where you show like I wasn't ready. Sometimes you have to be honest. Sometimes you just have to fucking be honest. Go back and look at this time last year and think about who you let back in your life. Think about that. Think about who you let back in your life last year. And should you have? No, you probably should not have. And so now it's this year, we're a whole new year, whole new retrograde. You watch that shit. People are going to be trying to come in and out. Don't make the same mistake twice. Remember, time travel and quantum jumping is as fast as you make it. It's as fast as your decision to say no. And a decision is permanent. A decision is like, I made a decision, it's done. It's a wrap. Make decisions and be done, it's a wrap. This person, this thing, this exercise, this activity, I don't do that no more. I don't binge eat anymore. I don't do that no more. Y'all know y'all saw me yesterday, I don't drink out the plastic cups no more. I don't save ketchup packages. I don't do that stuff anymore. It's some stuff I don't do anymore. Why? Because it belongs to another timeline. And I am in an abundance, a wealth, an affluent timeline. And that's where I'm trying to go. Now, I'm not saying that, do all wealthy people not do? They probably do, but I got to do it the way that methodology is the way that works for me. And for me to release some of the impoverished or things that I learned to make things stretch, things I learned to make things make do, in order for me to let that go, I had to let some things go because it kept reminding me of that. You know how people say don't forget where you come from? I beg to differ. Sometimes you need to forget. And there are some things of poverty that you need to forget. Okay? Okay. So I ask myself in the morning, who am I? Who am I today? Who am I? Or where am I sometimes? Okay? Immediately when I do that for about 10 or 15 minutes. I get up, I put on workout clothes. I will have the workout clothes laid out, or I would have different options. I'll have like 3 workout pants, 3 workout tops. So I don't have any excuse in the morning. I immediately put on workout clothes and I immediately go into my workout. Now, I want to share something with you guys, and I'm going to go through this pretty fast because if you're a student of mine, and you absolutely can go back and look on this page, right? You can see me in the last 19 months that I've lost 150 pounds. You can visibly see in the last 19 months that I've lost 145 pounds, 150 pounds. And I'm going to tell you super quick how I did that, okay? Number 1, I had acid reflux, and I realized that I needed to stop eating earlier in the day. So 4 o'clock is the latest I need to eat. But I realized that I could stop eating at 2 o'clock, and I was just fine. So I started eating within a window between 11 and 2. Why did I do that? For acid reflux. I did not do that to lose weight, okay? That was number 1. That was the first thing I did. Number 2, I was waking up and my mind was racing. Remember, I told you I have a diagnosis of bipolar 2. And so when I'm in a manic episode, my mind wakes up with every idea. You hear me? 10 businesses. I'm ready to start them all. And if you're a person that wakes up like that, please come work with me and learn how to not spend your money. If you're a person who wakes up with all these business ideas, you're always trying to start a business, you got stuff in the corner now from a business you tried to start last year, please sign up and work with me, because I guarantee you every bit of money that you're talking about, I don't have any money, I need a part-time job, bitch, you're Amazoning your money away, okay? About one half-baked idea at a time, you're Amazoning your money away. I will show you very quickly where an extra $1,000 is a month, because I did the same thing for decades. I had no clue, right? So I was waking up in the morning, and my mind was racing with all these thoughts and ideas. And I said, I need some way to dump this before I start my day, because I can't have a productive day like this. I need to dump this information out. I said, okay, we're gonna walk. Because at first I was trying to write. Writing wasn't working because, of course, I told you guys at the beginning I'm dyslexic. So handwriting was not working for me. So I started walking. And I would walk around my apartment complex right inside of the gated community. I never left. I would walk around. I started off just walking a mile. I just got a pedometer. And I just, on my cell phone. Now, I don't have no Apple Watch. I'm not fancy. And I just started walking around that thing. And I did that for a mile every day. And I would actually smoke and then go out there and let my mind just go for the first hour of the day. But the rule was that when I came back in the house, it was time to work. It was time to focus on one task that day. It was time to go outside and you let your thoughts just go everywhere. But when you come back in the house, you bring back your attention and you focus. That was the rule. So I started walking, okay? Acid reflux, and I started walking because of the thoughts. I told you guys that I used to smoke. And I still will smoke, but I don't do it like I used to. I might smoke every other month or every 2 months. Why? Because I realized that when I was smoking, I was inflamed. My body was more stiff. I was swelling up. I was retaining fluid when I was smoking. So I had to stop that. So these are the little things that I stopped doing that were not about weight loss. But because they became a habit, the weight loss followed it. Anytime you go out and you start walking a mile or two every day, you're going to lose weight. You stop eating all freaking day. You stop eating at 2 o'clock, you're going to lose weight. You stop smoking and stop having munchies, you're going to lose weight. I wasn't doing any of that because I was trying to lose weight. I was doing it because there were parts of my character that I knew acid reflux didn't belong in this character, who I am today. I knew through meditation that who I am today did not have acid reflux. And I mean to tell y'all, who I am today, right now, today, the 26th of December, of what is this month? November, the day before Thanksgiving, 2025, I do not have acid reflux. Why? Because of what I did 19 months ago. Stopped eating at 2 o'clock. But I'm also 150 pounds lighter as well, right? As a consequence of a new habit, because I knew that I didn't have acid reflux. I knew that I needed to learn the philosophers teach that energy goes where attention flows. And I knew that as long as my attention was fractured out into 10 million different places, I could never bring all my energy into one place and harness it into my brand. I couldn't grow my brand, right? I couldn't even make videos on here. I was embarrassed to make videos on here because when I was talking, there are so many times I tried to make teaching videos for you guys and I ended up deleting it because I started rambling. I started going off on tangents. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't even stay focused on one topic. Because my mind was going wild. So it was hurting my brand and I knew I'm a teacher. That's who I am, right? Who am I today? I'm a teacher. I'm an oracle, right? I'm a mentor. I'm a godmother. And so I have to have focus. And so I had to come up with a new methodology, right? I had to come up with a new habit to strengthen my focus. So what was your habit that you did? What was your practice? If you're writing, I want you to write down the word practice. A practice. It's no different than if you practice baseball, basketball, tennis, your violin. It's no different than a practice. I had to practice focusing. I had to practice getting those fractured pieces out so that I could focus my energy onto my brand. And I knew that I am supposed to be teaching. I knew what I wanted videos to look like. I knew what I wanted videos to sound like. And I knew the effectiveness that I wanted videos to have. And I knew that in my current state, 19 months ago, I couldn't have delivered something like this because I literally would have gone off on 10 million ideas. And I would have never been able to come back to the crux because I was so far gone, right? And that was what I established a new habit. I practiced getting rid of all those things and coming back in the house and focusing on something. I started picking up a book and reading. Focus. I started taking the social media apps off my phone a week at a time, a month at a time. Focus. Because if you don't realize, every time you are scrolling on social media, all of them, every single one of them, you are literally paying it. You're paying social media is not paying you. You're paying it. We used to say that social media was stealing your time. No, it isn't. You're paying it. How am I paying it? Through your attention. You're paying attention. Energy goes where attention flows, where energy goes. So if you're sitting all day doing this, flipping, when do you have time to focus your energy on your life and creating what you want for yourself? When do you have time to create this schedule that I'm telling you that I do every day? I have not told you 1 second where I had any scrolling time yet. I have not given you any time that I have to scroll right now because my attention is streamlined into myself. That matters. Why does that matter? Because I am teaching the universe that the energy must come into me. How are you teaching the universe that, Kelly? I'm demonstrating to the universe by turning my energy into myself. by asking myself who I am, by going outside and walking for myself, by caring about what I'm eating for myself, right? This is selfish, self-centered. So the universe will mirror how I take care of myself. The universe like, damn, all her energy is going into her. Now we must go into her. You must. You must. But if you are scrolling constantly all day, right, getting carpal tunnel, your eyeballs are hurting, you're getting headaches, it's late at night, you can't get to bed at 10 anymore, and you're like, I can't get to bed at 10. You could if you would stop scrolling all freaking night. You could if you would stop scrolling an hour before. Do you guys know that the lights on the phone are strategically placed the way they are on purpose to keep your attention, to hold your attention? Once you pay it, it's going to do everything. Your attention is so juicy. Your attention is so delicious and so lovely and so valuable. Social media knows how valuable it is. You don't. And you don't know what to do with yourself. That's why you don't have a schedule. That's why you don't have a ritual. But I teach rituals. I teach a schedule because a schedule is a ritual. A ritual is a schedule. It's a routine. Anything you do on a cadence is a schedule, a ritual, a routine. Go look at the definitions. They're not there. They are fraternal twins. Not identical twins. Fraternal twins. A ritual, a schedule, a cadence, a routine. It's all the same thing. When you're more in your spiritual bag, you're gonna call it a ritual. But when you're in your logical bag, you're gonna be calling it a schedule. Order your energy. That's the magic. It's ordering your. Where's my energy gonna go? Into myself. That's the first bit of magic that you can do, is by turning the energy into yourself. That's the first bit of magic that you should. Before you light a candle, learn how to turn the energy into yourself. Right? Okay. So I've done my walk. I've done my, I was telling you the things that I did to lose the weight, right? There's just some small little habits that had nothing to do with losing the weight originally for me. They were habits to keep me focused. They were habits to get me into this timeline because I knew that this version of me required it, okay? So after I do my morning walk and I come in, I will typically give myself something to do for the day, either some writing to do for my business. You guys know I love writing. I love writing curriculum. I love writing classes. I love making these videos. And so I will give myself a task to do for my business and my brand every day. Make some videos, outline something, make a study guide, a pamphlet. I have clients as well. You guys know that I work with celebrity clients as well as us regulars, right? I work with any woman. Primarily, I do work with Black women, but I have worked with women of non-color as well. So that's what I'll do, and I'll do that for about 3 to 4 hours, okay? Now within that is my eating window, so when I've cooked for myself or I've meal prepped. Meal prepping is a part of the magic, right? Meal prepping is so funny. I actually consider meal prepping for me as part of glamour magic. Because it is the meal prep that I'm making meals that are helping me to get the body that I want, heavily proteined meals, right? My meals are prepped for my body, not necessarily for my taste buds. So to me, that feels like glamour magic because it's a slow process, but over time, you can see, oh man, you're gaining a lot of muscle, you're getting a lot of definition, you're doing this, your skin is glowing. Like that's how I make my meals, right? So I will meal prep and I will eat during that window of 11 to 2. And then that's also while I'm doing my work, okay? Now, here's what I really love. A lot of people, when they get off of work, between like 3 and 5, there's like this big blank schedule. People don't know what to do. If you have kids, you're doing stuff with your kids. But a lot of my clientele, we don't have kids. We're single women. We've never been married. We don't have children. So what do? You're out after, let's just say you get off work and you're home by 5:30. So 5:30 to 9 o'clock, what are you doing, ma'am? What are you doing? That's study time. That's where we study. That's where we go learn something and get better. That's where we, if you want to, do your workouts. Go lift weights. Go do Pilates, right? Skincare. That's a really big part of glamour magic. Skincare and glamour magic are the same. I don't play, okay? I don't play with my skin. I'm supple. I love doing skincare. And it's just become so enjoyable for me. But it was something that I wasn't really raised to do. So I had to learn. So I get online and I'm learning. Like I'm having a really good time learning. I love YouTube. That's why I'm trying to do more and more YouTube this 2026. If I do more things on other social medias like Instagram and Facebook, you'll get on there to see me, but then you'll start scrolling on some other junk. So I'm moving over to YouTube because I would much rather you see me and scroll on YouTube and learn something else from somebody that's connected to a topic, something that can grow you, something that can edify you, than to be sitting and watching some fight videos or the balloon pop show that absolutely offers no value to anybody, right? That show, you're either laughing or getting pissed off by that show. It offers no value. So I am coming back over to YouTube because YouTube University is the thing, and I hope that the integrity of YouTube kind of stays where it is, where it's a place of learning, and so I love it. So that's why we're going to do more of this. Make sure that you guys are subscribing to this channel so that you can see when I'm going live and everything. Okay, so during that time you can learn more, right? But then also during that time, if you want to scroll you a little bit, scroll you a little bit. Put you a time limit on it. Say, all right, I'm only going to scroll for an hour today, right? Put some boundaries around your scrolling. Also, make sure that your algorithm is tailored. If your algorithm is not matching who you're trying to become or who you are, change your algorithm. You are the algorithm. If your algorithm has stuff up that's making you mad all the time, that's showing you that there's something still alive and working inside of you that is still making you connect to this kind of content. That was a check for me. I had to check myself because there was definitely some content where it was just making me hot every day. I'm like, first of all, I'm where I'm not supposed to be. That's why you hot, because you shouldn't even be over here in Instagram land. So just go on and turn that on off and come on. So see, for me, I shouldn't even been over there. But for you, if that's what you want, if you want to scroll a little bit, I'm not telling you not to scroll. I'm telling you to put some boundaries around your scrolling. So that it's not 3 hours and 4 hours and 5 hours of scrolling through somebody else's life, but not putting that same amount of time and energy and effort into your life. Building your life and building your personality brick by brick takes time, takes discipline, it takes steadfastness. Steadfastness is different than discipline. Steadfastness is when it gets boring. Because if you're over here, like I said, most likely you are probably neurodivergent just like me, and when you get bored, you want to go to something else real quick. Steadfastness makes you come back and say, nope, come back, sit down, go back to your lesson. My mom will call it your lesson. Did you get your lesson out today? Did you study your lesson? The steadfastness will help you come back to your lesson, will help you come back to the point, help you to come back to you and what you're doing for yourself. Go clean up. Some of y'all ain't deep cleaned your house in a long time. You're scrolling. You go deep clean. Go put a podcast on. Go put a lecture on YouTube. Put your audiobooks on and go clean up something. See, this is what Quantum Jump requires. Quantum jumping requires that. And I'm going to tell you, some of the best people, again, you guys know that I work with celebrities. Some of the people that you guys love and admire, they are so routine. And y'all just think that they're sitting down by the pools every day, and they are not. They are routine as fuck. There's stuff that they do that you would never do. That is the reason why many of them is where they are. They're in places because they did stuff that you as a lay person aren't willing to do. On repeat, repetitive. Because the more you do something repetitively, that's when you start to see the manifestation of it. You can't just do it. That's why a lot of people talk about, well, I did a spell work, and I lit the candle one time, and then nothing happened for me. It's not going to happen. A ritual is something that you do over and over again. A ritual has an order to it. You do this first, this first, this first, this first, and this kind of thing. A ritual requires a certain type of environment. When you do the occult rituals, clean environments. Sometimes the rituals require you to have different organic, clean, different kind of herbs. I was gonna say spices too, but herbs, right? Different kind of things. So those kind of things take effort, take time, take extra energy to do. That kind of like willy-nilly, anything goes, I did it good enough, that doesn't work. This order and routine that I just told you that I do every day, Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I have a slightly different order, but there are still some things I do on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday that I do exact same every day. Not the whole day, but there are some things in there that don't move. It don't move. My eating schedule, it don't move. 11 to 2. I don't care what day of the week it is. Sunday, I let myself eat what I want. But I like to stay within 11 to 2, 11 to 4. I'm tight on my schedule. Why? Why? Why does this methodology work? Why does it work? Well, the first thing I told you that it works is because it's on ritual, it's on routine, it's on repeat. So it's generating power. Every time I do it every day around the same time, it generates more and more power. But it also submits it into myself. I don't need an alarm clock to tell me when it's 11 o'clock because my body knows when it's 11 o'clock. Like literally around 11:15, my body starts to get hungry. It doesn't even need the alarm anymore. Why? Because I've been doing it like that at 11 o'clock for 19 months. So it's built into me to do. By 11:30, sure enough, past 12. I'm hungry now. I'm ready to eat, right? That is why I do it. Me waking up in the morning and working out, what do you mean? I gotta get up and go walk. I gotta. Like I find myself, because I don't have to walk on Saturday and Sunday, but I find myself doing it habitually because I wear workout clothes every day. You guys know, especially when I'm in Mexico, when you follow me, you go back, again, look at my videos back here, I'm always in workout clothes. My workout clothes are my clothes. My workout clothes are my daily clothes, but when I have those on, when I have those workout clothes on, I'm automatically in let's go walk. I'm automatically in let's go work out. I'm automatically in that mode of it's time to move my body. Automatically, right? So that's why this works, because I'm on a routine. I'm on a schedule every day around the same time every day. And I'm generating power as I keep going. It's just getting more and more momentum and more power and more. And anything that you do on repeat, anything that you do, you've got to remember that a piece of paper and this lip gloss have two different masses. Okay? A piece of paper probably can't even register on a scale. This lip gloss, it might say 4 ounces, 0.5 ounces, right? But the mass on this lip gloss is heavier than a piece of paper. I'm going to drop this lip gloss. It's going to go straight down, heavy. A piece of paper would be floating, kind of, right? What I'm trying to tell you is that the more momentum, depending on what you're asking for, the heavier it is, the denser it is, that you got to bring it into this reality, the more you got to do. The more repeats you got to be on, the more intensity. The more, it's my baby coming in. The more, intensity, repetition. The more your mental, your brain, your mind has to be focused in on what you're really doing. Do you know meditation 2X's, 3X's, all of your desires and your wants, meditation. So you get yourself into a heavy meditation and then you be doing these things on repeat. Start meditating on those things. That's why visualization is so powerful, because visualization is a form of meditation. So now you're already in a form of meditation, you're 3Xing what you're trying to do. You fuck around and meditate every day around the same time about the same thing, you're going to be bringing bigger and heavier things into the reality. You're going to be materializing and actualizing bigger and heavier things into this reality. I was able to bring in a 150-pound loss into this reality because I kept doing it every day, 19 months. I kept doing it, right? And then I intensified when I get to the States. When I get to the United States, because the gyms in Mexico are not what I like. The gyms in the United States, I love. I'm in the gym every day, 5 days a week, lifting weights. So I get to intensify it. So I get to see more progress. I get to see bigger and better things because I'm doing more. I've intensified the effort, the action, and what I'm doing, okay? And then let's talk about the bedtime routine. I have a bedtime routine. This is very important because we talked about people not getting to bed. Now, most people, okay, when you're working with me, I really do advocate that you get 8 hours of sleep. But most of you all, when you're working with me, you're probably getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep. You see me get sad? No. 8 hours is good. 9 hours is great. Some of y'all need 12. I have a friend, if you guys are interested in the human design, I have a friend that does human design readings. I don't know how much they are, but she could read you down. But there are some people that need to be sleeping 10 and 12 hours. Not every day. But there are some people that need more sleep than other people. And you need to know. I'm a person that 8 and 9 hours is a golden ticket for me. Anything less than that might get a little crabby, like a toddler. Over time, I'm gonna get crabby. Over time, I'm definitely gonna throw myself into a manic situation. And I don't like to be manic, so I make sure that I get sleep. Let me take that back. I do like to be manic. I do. At certain points, there's a certain level in mania where I'm like, I don't like this, and I'm gonna go to sleep. But I actually do enjoy being manic. It's so exciting. It's such a dopamine hit. It's just dopamine every day. It's great. But because I have boundaries and border and order around me, I don't let myself get too far. You ain't never got to worry about no crazy business happening with me. Because I'm not going to let it. Why? Because I have order and routine and structure around me. And I know when it's time to do what I need to do to bring myself down. And we talk about all of this when you're working with me, right? We talk about I don't really call it an escape plan, but like, what is the protocol when we're manic and what is the protocol when we're depressed? What's the protocol, right? Let's go into our cabinet and just start doing the protocol to help ourselves get back to balance, right? But the nighttime routine, I'm going to give a suggested one and I'll tell you what I do. Sometimes people, most importantly, is turning the devices off an hour before you need to go to sleep. If you need to go to sleep by 11, then at 10 o'clock, the devices go off. And most likely put your device in another room, put it in the bathroom so that you cannot just turn over and habitually start scrolling and looking at it. Some of y'all need to go to the Dollar General and get an old school digital clock. I don't want to hear about your phone being your alarm. You go get you an old school digital clock. They're $8. Okay? And then you can still have your alarm set up in the bathroom, so that way when the digital clock goes off and you try to hit snooze on that alarm in the bathroom is going to go off and you can't push snooze on that, so you got to get up and go and get out of bed. Might be better for you. But the devices need to go off an hour before you need to go to sleep. You can try reading books before you go to sleep. You can journal before you go to sleep. You do not eat before you go to sleep though. Eating and then going to sleep, literally your stomach is trying to digest. It's going to be very hard for you to. I know people think that the itis may get you to sleep, but it will not keep you to sleep. And that's what you want. You want something that's going to be able to keep you asleep, okay? So turning those devices off an hour before and giving your eyes enough time to get unadjusted to the light on the phone so that your nervous system can start settling down. One of the other things that I really like doing is I like showering before the bed and brushing my teeth. Number one, I like the shower because I feel like a baby. You know when you get that baby all clean and lotioned up with the Johnson & Johnsons and that baby is just ready to be swallowed? That's how I feel. And I like that feeling, right? Swallowed. I like that. But also, I think that energetically, it cleanses off the day. It cleanses off any kind of struggle, trouble, nervousness, insecurity, anything of the day that could have possibly attached itself to me. It just takes it down the drain. It's done. It's off of me, right? It's off of me. Another thing, I like the warmth of it. It's very comforting. But doing it every night, my body and psychologically, my mind knows that once we brush our teeth and once we get into the shower, it is time to go to sleep, and your body will start adjusting. And your body, it's a trigger to tell your body, all right, it's time to go to sleep now. So now you're off your phone. I get in the shower. I brush my teeth. My body has already been triggered. The phone is off. I've taken a shower, brushed my teeth. There's nothing else to do but to go to sleep after this. And so I recommend that you get you a nighttime routine. But again, I just told you my magic for the day. This is my magic that I do every day, my ritual, my schedule that I do every day. Every task that I told you that I do brings in something specific to me. Every action that I told you that I do strengthens a characteristic that helps me to stay solidified in this timeline. If I stop working out every day, I will gain weight back. I will start eating crazy again. I will get the body that I had 19 months ago. And the body that I had 19 months ago with that fat does have an energetic signature into it. So any kind of problems, thoughts, insecurities, neglect that I had for myself, it'll be right back on my body in fat pockets all over. That's not who I am. If I stop feeding into my brand, okay? If I decide to stop giving myself the time that I need every day to sow into my brand, I ain't gonna have no money. I'm gonna be on here begging tarot cards for $11.11. Y'all remember back in the day, people $11.11. Flip you some tarot cards. I will not have. I won't be looking like I'm looking. Like I just won't be looking anything like this. I almost beg to say I'd be homeless again. We don't want that. Like I had fun, but I like also having my name on the lease. Amen. I like it. I do. What else? If I stop, let's see, what else did I say? Oh, if I stop with my nighttime routine, man, oh man, I won't get to sleep till 2 and 3 in the morning every night. Every night. And I'll sure enough be spinning out manic. It won't be able to help it. It will not be able to help it. Or I'll have days where I crash in the middle of the day when I can't sleep at night. Everything I do, and let me also say this too, my schedule, my magic, my ritual that I just told you can still be moved around. So let's say I decide that I want something new in my life to come in. I'm going to add a new task into my schedule. I'm going to put it, see, where I got time at 5 o'clock, you got 3 hours right here, put something from 5 to 6. You're going to do this task from 5 to 6. And in 6 months, you're going to see this. And in 1 year, you're going to see this. And honestly, may not be 6 months, may not be 1 year, because I specialize in quantum jumping. So now I've told you my methodology, my what I do every day. Now we're going to move on to the very last thing of this video, okay? The very last thing of this video is how does it, kind of describing like how does this work, okay? Why does it work? How does it work? So the repetition is one of the things. That's what it's doing quantumly, scientifically, doing something over and over and over again. It's generating energy, because everything is energy. And that's how you're creating it. You're creating it by doing it over and over. You are literally creating something by doing a task over and over again. But when I teach quantum jumping, this is really important, because I've said this to you guys on this video, that the quantum jump is as quick or short as you make it, okay? It's as fast or as slow as you make it, because it's a decision. So remember I was talking in the very beginning of the video about the things you work on, the things that you have been working on. What do you mean, Kelly? Synchronicities that have been coming in your way, things that have been repeating themselves. Like, for example, if you've been seeing circles, what are these circles? I'm always seeing circles. Or you see numbers. Man, I'm always seeing numbers. Or me, a couple of weeks ago, the word care, C-A-R-E, was coming to me like crazy. Care, caring for yourself. One of my mentees talked about taking care, not making time for care, or not looking for time to care for you. Taking care. Like, I want to take it. I'm not going to wait for anybody to tell me what. I'm going to take care, right? And so just the word care, and that was a theme. So when I say things that are coming to you, what are the things that you're working on? What are the things that are being repeated in your ear? What are the things that you're hearing from people talking around you? Like you're an innocent bystander. You hear something like, oh my God, this is like the 10th time I've heard this week. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. When you paying attention to that, right? And you're working on something, like I'm working on caring. For me, I say quite often now that people that are willfully overweight, you will hear them say, I don't care, I'm going to eat this. I don't care, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to eat this ice cream. I don't care. And they're right. It is a lack of care. It is neglect. When you're willfully, morbidly obese, and it has nothing to do with illness or medicine, it is a lack of care. And you are very right. All the times that you say you don't care what you're putting in your mouth, and it shows on your body. And it's going to show up in your health sooner or later. As a 42-year-old woman who is incredibly healthy, I'm so grateful to myself. But my parents weren't. And my dad died prematurely before the age of 70. So it catches up with you. It does, right? And so people that stay that way, or willfully that way, it is neglect. It is a sign of neglect. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. And even if I gain back weight tomorrow, it is still going to be a sign of neglect. It goes for the goose and the gander, right? I'm not saying that in a way that I am absolved or exempt from it, because it works for me too, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that whatever you've been working on, okay, You pay attention in your life for those things to come in your awareness, your experience, as you're moving through the day, as you're talking to people, as you're at work, as you're at family reunion, as you're at Thanksgiving tomorrow, at church, at the grocery store, wherever it is, right? And as you're interacting with people, and you're needing to make a pivot, a choice, you're needing to, and I'm going to give an example in a second, but you're needing to make a decision in the moment. You make decisions according to what you know you've been working on. You don't make decisions according to how you typically would answer something. That's a quantum jump. That is the methodology that I teach, that I use to teach people how to quantum jump. We're going to build you a schedule. The schedule, the routine, is built on who you say that you're trying to become. We go into meditations, we visit our future, and I want you to get introduced to the future versions of yourself that you're trying to become. And we build schedules and routines and rituals according to who you're trying to become. You hear me? Okay? Now that we know who we're trying to become, now that we know this is the day, this is what a day looks like of the person I'm trying to become. We're very familiar with what a day looks like as a person that you are now. It's probably a day of nothingness, or a day of spinning around but no order. And most people tell me, Kelly, I'm all over the place. Your days of all over the place are producing who you are today. You cannot move like that. Not if you ever are thinking that you're trying to go somewhere, and the somewhere you're trying to go is to the future version of yourself, or another version of yourself. Because there are so many future versions of yourself. There are unlimited future versions of yourself. But you're trying to get to a different timeline, trying to do the same thing that you've been doing, the same schedule, and that's not going to work. You must build a routine or a ritual that is compatible with the version of yourself you're trying to become. Now that when you create that schedule, and you'll have to kind of work with it. You'll be like, okay, this doesn't feel right. This felt good. I'm gonna add this in. You're getting taught how to do that, right? You're getting taught how to ebb and flow. You're getting taught how to move the dials up and down, and how to turn the knobs and really like hone in on the frequency of the version of you that you're trying to become. But always when you're trying to become that version, always you're going to be given decisions and choices along the journey. Like, if you can imagine in your imagination, here's where the neurodivergence comes in. If you can imagine in your imagination that there's a troll at the bridge. You guys remember those stories about the troll being at the bridge, and the troll would ask you 3 questions if you wanted to pass the bridge? Let's just imagine that, okay? You have these moments in life where you need to make a decision, a choice. Instinctively, you'll be trying to make a choice the way that you normally make a choice. But you can't do that. You got to make a choice according to the version of yourself that you're becoming. So you may even have to ask yourself, like, what are we going to do right now? What should we do? What should we say? What should we do? What should we say? It will always be something that you wouldn't normally say or do. That's the point of it. That's the quantum jump. You are supposed to say and do something that you would not normally do. Okay? I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm almost done. I'm going to give you guys some movies that I would like for you to one movie, one book. One movie? Yes. No, 2 movies. 2 movies and 1 book. And it's 2 movies. I hope I say this movie right, because I just saw it like 2 days ago. And I think it was called Once Upon a Dream. It is a animation, so it looks like a kid's movie. I don't think it was a kid's movie. If you smoke, go ahead and do that. Watch that movie. And you will be like, oh, shit, whoa. But it's about the Sandman. It's about the dream world. Watch that movie. Also, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Watch that movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Excellent movie. And the last, you guys, this is my niece looking at me. And the last book that I want you guys to read is Psycho-Cybernetics. And the last name of the guy's name is Maxwell. I think it's Maxwell once. Maxwell is the man's last name. So make sure that you check that book out. Psycho-Cybernetics. And they do have it as audiobook on here. but I recommend the book. I read the book like 5 times, probably going into my 6th time. It is one of my Bibles. It is an excellent book. But I just explained to you guys kind of like my methodology, how I do it, books and movies, absolutely. So the book, the first movie, it's about the Sandman. I think it's called Once Upon a Dream, but it's an animation movie, and it's about the dream world. That's one book. Movie. The second movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's an all Asian cast. That's how you know it's the right movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Whoop, whoop. It pretty much describes what I'm trying to tell you guys, but it'll give you like their interpretation of it. It's bomb. Book Psycho-Cybernetics, and the author's last name is Maxwell. Psycho-Cybernetics, and that talks about the processing system, like referring to as like a computer. It's very helpful. So those things. Did I say everything? I did. It's so crazy. All that leading up to the point of the quantum jump is the choice and the decision that you have to make in a moment. But you will not know what decision to make and what choice to make. If you don't do any of this stuff that I said before I got up to the decision and the choice, you're gonna make the same choice you made last year, and last year, and last year, and the year before that. And you're never gonna get out of the cycle and the pattern. But when you start invoking and summoning up the spirit, the energy of the version of yourself you're trying to be, and you start practicing that energy every day, when it comes time to make a decision and a choice, it'll be easier. Why? Because you've already summoned the energy. You've already behaving like the person. So that goes into the law of assumption. You're just falling in line. You're just you just make the choice and you're like, oh my God, I just made this choice, and that's not what I would have normally did. Like, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. Because the version of yourself that you've been practicing will take over. It will literally endow you. It'll be the Holy Ghost, if you will. If you understand anything about the Holy Ghost, you're making your own Holy Ghost. You're invoking your Holy Ghost. So that way, if you were a churchy person, they would say the Holy Ghost had you talk right, walk right, live right. This is what it is. You're practicing how to walk and talk. I walk differently because when I was outside practicing, remember I told y'all I was practicing because I needed to get my head not so spinning out everywhere. But as I was walking, some more happened while I was walking. I started off one way, but as I started walking, I started looking in the windows of my neighbors, and I'm like, I don't like my posture. So I looked at the women in my family who I love. The women in my family are they live to be like 100 and plus. The women don't play in my family, but all of them are bent over. So now when I'm walking, I practice up. And now I don't have to practice because it's a habit. I don't bend over. I am 42 and I'm one of the women that is not bent over in my family. I wasn't going to do it because I practice posture every day. Every day. I look in the windows in the mirror and make sure that and I notice that if I am a day where I'm like clumped over, I'm like, are you okay? I basically will kind of go through, remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember how you stand. Remember how you walk. Honey, I got a bad walk. You hear me? Hips, legs, and hips, and body. Your girl walks. I got a nasty walk on me, but I practice it. Because I knew these women in my family, as strong as they are, I want the best of them. That posture I don't want, but I want the best of them. And I know that I have the best of them in me. But that posture is something that I could help right now. My mom and I are 34 years apart. I had time now. I have 34 years now to make sure that I keep my posture in a way that is aligned with who I am. All right? All right. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Again, I don't know what day, but I promise. Here's what I promise you. I promise you this. And I'm putting this on here as record for accountability. That in 2026, I promise to have one teaching video a week. That is my accountability for you guys. And you guys know I like 80%, but I'm gonna make myself 90% of 2026. I will release a teaching video every week. I don't know what day yet, but I'm saying to you guys, you hold me accountable. If I don't do it, you be like, Kels, You said, and you do that. You do that to me. Because I'm going to do it to you. So do it to me. Okay? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But once a week, I want to have you guys a teaching video because this is important. It's important. And I want to be able to help more black women. Okay. I love myself. I love you. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay?